Hello there, I'm Lou Bayer, co-founder of the World Citizen Alliance, and it's my pleasure today to provide for you some notes and tips about how to use the takeaway lesson called 7 Ways We're All the Same that is provided with the World Citizen Global Teacher Certificate in Civility. In this lesson, the theme is about recognizing that we are all more similar than we are different. If you have been studying the World Citizen Program, you know that the core message is that we are all citizens of the world, and so our differences shouldn't matter, although we celebrate them and we want people to be proud of the differences. At the end of the day, there are many ways that we're all the same. And on a humankind point of view, this is what really matters when we are promoting world citizenship. So the World Citizen concept provides an opportunity for people all around the globe to expand their worldview, become continuous learners, challenge perceptions, embrace cultural differences, and learn about how civility, humanity, service, and kindness can ensure that each of us, our friends, families, co-workers, communities, and neighbors, can live and learn about each other and about the world around us. So in this lesson, which is intended for ages 5 to 10, I would say that you could adapt this lesson if you were so inclined for older children or for adults. The key messages and the objectives would be the same. You would just need to adapt the level of content and potentially some of the activities. So in this lesson, we want people from a social competency point of view to acknowledge what it means to be a human being and how that means sameness in many ways. So what does sameness and difference mean? And for young people, we want them to use their thinking skills, their oral communication, their ability to work well with others, to observe, to interact, to communicate, to evaluate, and to assess other people. Everything from their behavior to their communication to their habits and customs, ways that they're the same and ways that they're different. So we want people to understand that how we see differences matters. We recognize and appreciate that people will see differences, but how they see them matters. So, for example, most often young children, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, they might say something like, he has purple hair. They're not likely to value that difference the same way somebody who is older might. And so how we see the differences matters. Are we celebrating them or are we fearful of them? This is some of what we're trying to teach in this lesson. So in terms of 21st century learning framework, understanding culture offers an opportunity to practice positive people treatment. And so we not only want to encourage and support this mindset, a civility mindset that everybody has value, but we want to expand that as early as age 5 and help children understand how the sameness is one way to promote empathy and compassion, positive people treatment, and the differences are ways to celebrate our uniqueness and to learn from each other. So we also want, as the final learning objective, and the lesson is about an hour long, you could certainly expand it if you wanted to, is we want to be able to describe how we're different as children so that we can celebrate that. And you'll see from the activities provided that there's different ways that we can do that. So at the end of the day, the goal is always to foster respect and human kindness. So there are some supplies required. As with all of the takeaway lessons, there are 5 plus a bonus lesson provided with each level 1 certificate, and there are 6 streams. We are looking at global teacher right now, but there is also core world citizen. There is world citizen for civility training for children and youth, for service and tourism, for business professionals, and also for leadership. So in this case, there are some recommended resources to review. We always recommend that anyone using these lessons, you can use them verbatim or you can adapt them as you might wish, but please do review the entire lesson before you use it to make sure that you can adapt it as necessary for your audience. that you consider anything that might be sensitive or not applicable to your culture or the age group or children that you are interacting with. And as always, we would encourage you, if there is something that you really love or something that you think other trainers can benefit from learning, if it's different or contrary to what we're teaching in the lesson, please send us a video with your information, your explanation, your short tutorial to events@civilityexperts.com. You can even present that video in your language if you like, so that we can post it and share with other world citizen trainers around the world. So there's a few books offered as well. There's a source called Oriental Training that we encourage all of our teachers, if you're able to access, and you might have something similar in your country. But Oriental Training is a teacher's supply shop that has incredible array of resources, everything from small games to props to, hats and toys and flashcards and everything you can imagine. And there's quite a bit in there related to manners and kindness and culture, flags of the world, all kinds of things. So please visit the site. You'll see frequently we reference the site as a place to find supports to make the lessons interactive and interesting. You might also go to a corner store. In North America, we have Dollar Store or Walmart, those kind of places as well. All right. So as we're moving through the lesson and we're talking about, the first things that we're going to do here, as always, we want to make sure that we give children an opportunity to self-identify. A name, our personal name, is a very important attribute and asset, and it defines often who we are in terms of bits of culture. So we want people to be proud of their name, to pronounce it in a way that others can learn how to say their name properly, and to be proud of who they are and their heritage. When it comes to culture, of course, the name is the first piece often of our cultural heritage. So as we're going through the lesson here, you can see there is a timestamp. We always provide a chart, an hour to 1.5, depending on how many breaks you offer, how many students you have. In a small group, of course, the activities might go quicker, or they might take longer if you decide to really dive in and spend some individual time with the students. So this is a lesson that we would encourage you to allow parents to attend, or I think it's interesting to send home a document that expresses to the parents what we covered. It might be useful for them to see what the philosophy and core message is. So one of the activities that we do in the classroom here, and there is a YouTube clip. I believe the song is provided in different languages, but there was years ago a Coca-Cola. That's a kind of pop. Almost everyone in the world has heard of Coca-Cola. But there was a song called I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing. And it's about building, joining hands around the world. It's about love. It's about reaching out to the world. It's about harmony. And it's a really good song for introducing this concept of we're all humankind and on the planet together. So I like to include that song with this lesson, or you can use another song, Happy and You Know It, for younger children if you like, if you think the Teach the World to Sing song is too long. So I know that the song can also be included in different languages. So if you have a group and you sing those songs and they're comfortable, parents have authorized recording, it would be really amazing if we could post clips of children engaging in that activity, singing that song. So there's an activity here, a collage, a take-home activity, a range of terms to know, and for older children, you can certainly give a quiz that incorporates these definitions if you were interested in doing so. So prior to the session, it's always encouraged to prepare the materials and handouts. If you decide to do the collage in the classroom instead of at home, you will need a range of either coloring books or pages out of magazines or old books or magazines, of course, that have all kinds of images. Things like National Geographic old versions are sometimes good for this kind of culture collage. So we're going to explain to the children what culture is, why it's important, and how we can use or apply it. So I like to show this clip, how being different is beautiful, and we let children watch the clip and then we ask them some questions. We can play the clip and then we can ask them, the older children, you can put a flip chart, put them in groups, or just as a large group we can ask them. So we've indicated here 7 ways we're all the same. We do have, through Civility Experts, if someone is interested, a lesson for adults called 7 Ways We're All the Same as well, and it's a half-day course. You can contact us, events@civilityexperts.com, if you're interested in that lesson. In any case, for children, once they watch the clip, some of these 7 things might be obvious to them, but we can prompt them and ask them. We are all special in some way. All children are learning and growing, and so meaning we are all special. We are all children who are learning and growing. We are all different shapes and sizes, which makes us the same even though it highlights a difference. We all want to be happy and fun. Who really doesn't want to be happy and have fun? We all like to eat, and we bring eating into the conversation because, of course, when we talk about culture, one of the easiest ways to introduce culture is through food. And sometimes when we teach this class, we can ask children either to show up to class and bring a cultural food, to wear a cultural garment, to bring a cultural flag, anything like that. We all speak a language. Again, we highlight this because language is often an essential piece of our cultural heritage, and we want to highlight that if we can. And we all have favorite things. Again, sometimes this is tied to culture, and sometimes it's just tied to being a child. So we want to highlight something. Each of these 7 things are things that every child should be able to relate to. Ask the children if they agree with all of these things, and they might bring up some other ways that we're all the same, and if they do, of course, we want to document those as well and discuss them if we can. So we want to ask the children if these ways that we are the same is more important than how we might be different. And most children will say, sure, the acknowledgement that we're all different shapes and sizes makes each one of us have something special about us. And so we're different, but it's a good, positive thing. We want children to start simple, and we want them to show that these aspects of sameness will help us see that if we are open-minded, we see sameness first and not notice differences so much. But when we do notice differences, that's what makes us special. So we need to see our differences as gifts, and we want to celebrate and honor them. We all need food and shelter, love, education, friends and family. We all have things that we are good at, things that are our favorite, and we want people to know that we want to be able to accept all of these things about each other that are the same, and it's one way of showing that everybody has the right to a favorite thing, even if it's different than our favorite thing. So we're introducing in a subtle way the concepts of equity and equality. We also want to point out that everyone is nervous or self-conscious, and I see there's a typo there in that lesson. We'll have to make sure that we can fix that. Self-conscious. Maybe I'll do it now because I just can't help myself. Self-conscious. Or worried about being different. And so it's okay. We want in this way to subtly introduce the idea of emotion or feelings, that we each have a different perspective or experience. And in some ways, in some situations, we all experience generally the same thing. That is being nervous or being excited or being happy. So that's another way that we're the same. As you can see here, I hope, throughout the lessons, our goal is to introduce the concepts that adults and older children need to know to be successful in the world, but to do so in a way that is safe and kind of easy, and a slow sort of introduction into what are actually quite complex topics for children. And we want to give them the tools and the language, the words they need to be able to express and articulate these complex concepts in a way that is simple enough for them and other children to understand. So we give a little break, and the break can be playtime or little games or read a story. Just let children have free time. If it's in the classroom, we like to have books and puppets and little toys, sometimes refreshments, things, let children pick how they want to take their break. And after the break, we're going to talk about how we know that we're quite similar. We also have differences that make us special, and we're all human beings living and learning together. So we need to be kind to each other, and we need to take care of each other. And so it's okay to be different, but we want to be treated well. This because we're all human and citizens of the world, and this way we can live in harmony. And in this way we can introduce that song, the Coca-Cola song, I Want to Teach the World to Sing, in perfect harmony. It's really an amazing song, and children love it. It has a catchy tune. So you can sing it in different languages, and it may take a few minutes. You can post, or you don't have to do all of the verses, just do the short ones. So for older children, you can let them create their own songs and practice a song. Let them make up a song about happiness or harmony or being human. Little children love this kind of performance aspect of things. You can give them costumes or props. You can give them little microphones. It's almost like karaoke, and let them create something. I like to do this as well, and then use that song or whatever they create at the beginning of every lesson if you're doing a series of classes. And at the end of the series, if you have a graduation, these are things that the children can perform for their parents as well. So, something else I like to do in this course, time permitting, is to create an I am different because. And this is a collage for children that they can complete and bring back to their next visit. You can use Pinterest.com and type in collages. There's all kinds of ideas, but the idea is that we ask the children to go home and they can talk to their parents. They can look at photographs, think about their life and their experiences and how they live, and make a collage. They can draw it or use images, whatever they like. And these days for older children, if they are digitally inclined, you can actually let them make a Pinterest board or a collage using a whiteboard in Google that they can share. Some children like to use PowerPoint even. It doesn't matter how they do it. It's up to you. Also, by age 9 or 10, if children are using Doodly or other animation tools and apps, they can create an animated collage as well. Again, you have to think about your audience, what's suitable or appropriate, and then adapt the activity to them. Another activity, if we expand the lesson, or if we want to send the collage home and we still have some time left over in class, is a compliment circle. And this works with almost any age, but what we would ask is that the children stand in a circle holding hands, and then one at a time, each child takes a turn standing in the middle, and the other children take turns saying something nice about the child. So what makes the child special? And it can be something they noted about the appearance. You have nice freckles. You're a good friend. You're good at sports. You're good at drawing. You're a good brother. You make good sandwiches. Anything at all. Encourage the children to pick a positive thing that makes the child in the middle special, and then we're going to celebrate it. So sometimes we can have cupcakes or some special food. We can celebrate with little badges or stars or wristbands, whatever you have that's a take away sometimes too. And we want children to be able to celebrate that they're special, to speak positively about themselves and about other people. I find the younger children, age 5 to 7, tend to really get excited about this. They're not always very shy, but a little bit older sometimes. Oddly enough, the 9 to 11 group tends to be a bit shy. And so sometimes we'll let the children stand with a blindfold on, the child in the middle, so that they don't have to see the other faces, or we'll let them turn their back to the group, or everyone can stay seated and we write nice things on a piece of paper and the teacher can read them aloud about the individuals. So again, you have to give children an opportunity to sit out the activity if they're too nervous as well. We don't want to have them be upset or harm their confidence. There's a take-home here, a short quiz. This we use for the older children sometimes, and it's a way of reminding them. You can use this quiz at the beginning of the next session if you like, as a way of reviewing what we covered in this lesson too. So I hope that is helpful. Once again, if you have comments or questions, do not hesitate to contact us, events@civilityexperts.com, and we hope you enjoy this lesson as a takeaway to the World Citizen Global Teacher lesson. Thank you.